Okay, so this video is for whoever has the eyes to see and the ears to hear. In this video, I'm going to talk about Satanism and a little bit about the Bible, Genesis, and kind of explain the story about Adam, Eve, and the serpent. Now, this is all how I perceive it. It's my own feelings and my interpretation. Okay. And if this helps you on your journey to self-discovery and ascension, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then I just ask that you please move on. Okay. So let's talk about Satanism. All right. Satanism, there is this kind of worship of this Baphomet, or following this Baphomet creature who has like the form of a humanoid but with animal parts, and is very occultic, I guess, in like presentation. Okay, so how I interpret this in our, I'm gonna say, our yang world, our universal world, so the world outside of us and other people are participating in. Just hold on, I just gotta fix a toy for my daughter here. Oop. Okay, there we go. How I interpret this is basically, if it's in our reality, that means we're all practicing it at a certain degree, consciously, or for most of us, unconsciously. Okay. How I feel about it is that we're not really in tune with our intuitions and our true feelings. I think our mind has kind of been rewired, and there's a lot of things that we think are normal and okay, and there's nothing wrong with it. But because we are out of tune with our intuition and our true feelings, we're like not where we're supposed to be. You know, there's things that we practice, that we do on a daily basis, that we consider normal, and we're not supposed to be participating in that kind of behavior, or thinking that it's normal or okay. Okay, this is kind of how we can see that we are a collective of everybody's falling. Okay, there's no person that's better than the other. I am no better than you or anybody else, because I'm in this reality with you. Okay, so we are a collective conscience of dissension. Okay, and nobody is better than the other. Nobody is ascending without the other. Okay, we're stuck here. All right. And I do believe, personally, if you do some work on your journey, I do believe when you do die, you don't have to reincarnate here. But I think the point of this reality is that we collectively, consciously change and get out of this hellhole that we are all falling for. We're falling for it. Okay. That's what this is. And yes, we are all Satanists, because we are all practicing, most of us unconsciously, satanic worshiping. Okay. And what I see that as being is why we are highly sexual. We have domesticated animals. We live with animals. We also participate in lying, betrayal, okay, crime, all right? This is all kind of satanic shit, okay? Satanic manipulation. This is all like what I would also call black magic, okay? We eat animals, therefore we, in a sense, when you're taking in, animals, you're kind of, you're even taking in their blood, so there's a lot of black magic going on that we have normalized, which it's a red flag for me now. It's a total like, ooh, we don't even know that we're falling, and we're falling for it. Okay, so the difference between unconsciously being a Satanist and consciously being a Satanist is there are actual people, okay, that know that this behavior, okay, and they're consciously choosing to participate in these rituals, okay, in these bad behaviors. So you can kind of see that how they see it is like if they're consciously choosing to participate in this behavior, that keeps the rest of us from realizing the truth. And we are Satanists unconsciously, okay? And Baphomet, what Baphomet represents is the human form, not a human being, because it's very animalistic. And with animal parts, okay, is basically we have fallen, okay? So we've fallen from our conscious. Men are supposed to be in the 7th dimension, women in the 7th until they hit menopause, and they ascend to the 8th. And children represent the 6th dimension, okay? We have fallen consciously to the 5th dimension, and that is where the animal kingdom lies. Hence why Baphomet, okay, has animal parts. So they are willing, so people that practice consciously Satanism, okay, they are fully aware that they have lowered their conscience and are participating in that animal kingdom, and that is pushing all of our energies, all our conscience down. So you're gonna have, what helps is to realize that you are a Satanist. If you think you're not, you are, but you're an unconscious one. And it's to recognize that, okay, see some things in your life that you know deep down inside. You can't tell me that you don't know this, because you do. If you're doing some kind of ascension work, you're trying to figure out your life path, okay, or even get with some people. I'm not afraid to say it. That's not how I would say it, but get in terms with God, okay, you're going to have to see how some of your practices are going against that spiritual enlightenment, that spiritual awakening, okay, and that you are, yes, for sure, you are a Satanist. And how you save your soul, save yourself, okay, is first you have to wake up to that, okay? And how you break the spell from those that are consciously practicing Satanism is you have to see their behaviors and see what this is. You have to see how your conscience is lower than the 5th dimension, okay? You're half, spiritually, you're Baphomet, that's why they worship Baphomet, okay? Is in it, for them, it's a choice. They choose to be this creature, okay? And they're only comfortable seeing everybody else as that creature as well, okay? That's why when you start to do your own personal work, it is kind of very important to be kind of like the hermit and do some spiritual awakening and some time alone and going off the beaten path that you're already on. You know, if that means, that could look like new relationships, separating from your family, moving to a new area, getting a new job, okay? Those are all things that can help you get off the original path that you were on, okay? They are big jumps, they're important jumps, and each person is an individual, okay? Your experience is not going to be the same as mine, okay? Or the next person, all right? Whatever works for you, you know, trust yourself. And no matter what jump you make, all right, you're going to be okay, and you can do it. And it may seem a little hard at first, and you might go against it, and that's normal. That's going to be totally normal. But once you accept the gradual little changes and kind of get a new momentum going in that direction, you know, you're going to discover more about yourself and what you can and cannot, and what you can and what you can't do yet, because you can do everything. Don't worry about it. You can do it. Okay. Now, let's talk about the Bible and Genesis. Okay. Adam and Eve and the serpent. Okay. So how I interpret that story. Okay. I see Adam and Eve, okay, is not just a single individual. I'm going to say that Adam represents a pubescent male who just in the seventh dimension, who just ascended from the sixth dimension as a child to the seventh dimension. Okay, very young, very naive, still learning about themselves, and at the very, very beginning of mastering their hormones. Okay, their internal, okay, what is happening internally to them to mature into the seventh dimension, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Very, very beginning. And the same thing for Eve, okay? Eve was also a pubescent girl, okay, who just ascended from the sixth dimension to the seventh dimension and going through the same thing, but, you know, the female way, okay? And I don't know about you guys, but there's no such things as talking snakes, okay? And I'm sorry if you believe that a snake can talk, and that's what that story is trying to tell you, that a snake actually talked to them. I'm sorry. That means your consciousness is so programmed by this reality that I don't even know if you'll make it on the spiritual journey, because that means you can't even think for yourself if you believe that a snake talks, because snakes don't talk. They don't talk. They don't physically talk. So if you believe that, then you have a lot of spiritual work to do. A lot. Okay? And I don't mean that in a bad way. If that's what you believe, then I'm just telling you, for the real spiritual journey, you have a lot of work to do. Okay? Snakes don't talk. Okay? In my opinion, what the serpent talking in the garden represented was a mature man in the seventh dimension who, okay, left, okay, his original path that was set out by him through the universe, okay, and he was in a place where he wasn't supposed to be, okay, he slithered, okay, so he moved from his timeline and went someplace where he wasn't supposed to go, especially alone. Okay, and I believe he took advantage. For some reason, Eve was alone, okay, and not in her typical, maybe she was in a place where she does hang out, but for some reason, it was an opportunity that this snake took on Eve, okay, and I believe that the snake, what he did, okay, when he told her to take a bite of from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I believe that had to do with a sexual act, okay? That he got Eve to perform a sexual act, okay? So instead of, eating from the tree of life, which is staying on her original path, this mature man who was going to change the universe, okay? Basically, I'm going to say a bad magician, it's just a dark magic, the beginning of dark magic and the beginning of the times that this reality, this is where we are, kicked out of the Garden of Eden, okay? So I believe that he taught Eve sexual acts when she wasn't supposed to. She's not even close to knowing about sex, was not supposed to know about sex at that time. She couldn't master her hormones. And I believe from there, she taught Adam about the sexual act, okay? Keep in mind, they were at the beginning of their seventh dimension journey, and at the beginning, you don't know about sex. It shouldn't even have reached their consciousness. Because why? Because they were not mastering their hormones yet. They were on the process of getting there, okay? So that's how I interpret, and that's why they got kicked out, all three of them. The serpent, Eve, and Adam were kicked out of the Garden of Eden because they basically, they opened for lack of a better way of saying it, opened a portal to a reality that is basically outside of the known universe, right? Where this serpent is on top, which is just a mature man who kind of got off his own path and then started this whole path, and we're all descendants of that. Okay, that's why we are all a collective of falling. Another way I could say about this reality is so I don't know if you watch any sci-fi movies or anything like that, but you know, like when you're trying to get from one space to another space, there's like these channels, these warp drives, what else are they called? Slipstreams, okay? So what's happened is consciously, because time really doesn't exist just linear, okay? That's not a poor representation of time. That's actually a controlled space and a controlled time, and that's where we're living in. We're living in a controlled space in a controlled time, all right? Where time is, it doesn't just only exist that way, okay? Our minds are so warped to believe that this is time, okay? That's not the case. So instead of getting from one space to another, we have actually collectively created a world, a universe, a reality within this slipstream, within this, to get that's those channels to get from one space to another. Somehow we've created a world, reality, in a space that doesn't exist. Okay? And this is why we age quickly. This is why time, there's this invisible force over us, okay, that pushes us to the next day, you know, like time, like our calendars, our clocks, okay, that's like this force over us, okay, that's pushing us in a single direction, when really space and time doesn't exist in that. And that's why I think that we created a world and reality in this slipstream, in this channel that we didn't actually get to the space we're supposed to be at. Okay, I know this is kind of crazy, but this is how I feel. As like, I don't believe we're supposed to age this quickly. I don't believe that we should be able to like be on our own time, not a time like where we're all like forced to be a part of. Okay, we are individuals with a unique experience, and this force over us tells me that there's something definitely going on. And our aging process, and the fact that we always feel like we don't have enough time, well, I do believe it's because we're not actually in a real universal space. We're living between time and space, okay? And unfortunately, because we are all Satanists and we're all falling, we're not actually doing any spiritual work. We're not exactly getting into the true universe. We're not healing from the first fall. If you think about it, every single one of us, okay, are participating in that Adam and Eve, okay? Even pubescent boy, okay, who's a couple years older than an Eve, that's still the fall, the beginning. That's still the fall all over again. So we all, when we hit puberty, we're reenacting Genesis, Adam and Eve. And until we collectively can break that behavior, that spell, that hocus pocus, whatever you want to call it, because that's what it is just black magic, okay? When we collectively can mature and raise our children properly, and all of us mature spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, while we physically, go through life, all right, then I do believe like this whole, everything that we've created in this reality, it's just an illusion. It's not real. There's so much more to this human experience, but we're only settling for what is being forced on us, so a force outside of us. We no longer have that internal intuition, that feeling of knowing what's right and wrong, because and I do believe when we're infants, we do have that awareness, but as we're raised, as we're being brought up by people that are falling, we just naturally go along with it, right? They don't know who they are, and they're supposed to be our guidance to who we are, and they don't raise us properly. And yeah, we end up being people that we're not, who we naturally are not supposed to be. So anyways, that's what I got. And I hope that helps. And yeah, talk to you later.